I do not own the rights to this music. Hello, and welcome to Sunday School Summary with Brother Ron. Sunday School lesson for Sunday, October 3rd, 2021. Our reference material for the Sunday School Summary is based upon the International Sunday School Lesson Series as published by the Sunday School Publishing Board. We're discussing Celebrating God as the title of the fall lesson series, and the series is categorized into 3 units or groups of lessons. In Unit 1, we talked about God's people offer praise. In Unit 2, we're talking about call to praise God. And in Unit 3, we'll talk about visions of praise. Now, the Call to Praise God series documents and explores the Psalms, calling God's people to celebrate what God has done. The Psalms speak of making joyful noise to praise God, praising God for justice and righteousness, of giving thanks for deliverance, and the joy of worship and of music as a way to celebrate and praise God. The title of our first lesson in the Unit 2 Fall Lesson Series is titled Only You, and that's from Psalm 100, verse 3, and it requires the individual to praise God and the responsibility of the individual to praise, worship God. Now, the key verse from Psalm 100, verse 3 reads, Know ye that the Lord is God. It is he that hath made us, and not we ourselves. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. Now, the title of today's lesson is Only You. The background to today's lesson is Psalm 100. And Psalm 100 is an exhortation to praise God, or a call to worship and praise God. And it should be done cheerfully for his greatness and for his power. It's a psalm of praise, for the Lord is good, his mercy endureth, and his truth endureth to all generations. There are 2 summary lesson points for today, because he made us from Psalm 100, 1 through 3, and because he mercied us from Psalms 100, verses 4 through 5. Now, the passages for the lesson today revolve around the keywords faith, steadfast, mercy, know. Now, in faith, we have complete trust, assurance, belief, or confidence. And in this case, we have faith in Jesus Christ, or confident in Jesus Christ, and therefore in God. Praise means to express one's respect and gratitude towards God as an act of worship. We give praise to God as our act of worship. Steadfast means to faithfully, resolutely, or dutifully solid and unwavering. God's unwavering love for us, his sheep in today's lesson's context. Now, mercy is unmerited favor, and favor we may not always be deserving of because as humans we fall short of the glory of God. And know is to have developed a relationship with someone through experience, through meeting or spending time with them. To know God is developed a relationship with him through praise, prayer, and worship. Because he made us, the first summary points Psalms 101 through 3. And in these passages, the writer issues a call for all nations to make a joyful noise to the Lord, to worship him with gladness, and to know and acknowledge our proper relationship with God, that he is Lord and our Creator, that he made us and we did not make ourselves, that he is the shepherd and we are the sheep. Every individual is commanded to make a joyful noise and serve the Lord with gladness. Our obligation to serve him gladly is based on the fact that he created us, which should produce joy and gratitude in our heart and inspire spontaneous worship. We also have a responsibility to know and acknowledge God for his goodness. Psalm 100 commands us to know that the Lord is God, requires a whole life affirmation so that our actions are aligned with and reflect a complete devotion to God and worship of him. If God is in us and we in his image, then we should have joy and goodness in our heart and praise on our lips. Our selling point for Christ should be our praise, a praise focused on who God is and what he has done for us and how he is working in our life. That should be our selling point for bringing people to Christ. Too often, it's based on what others are doing wrong, as opposed to focusing on our praise, which should be reflective of our life. Second summary point, because he mercied us, from Psalm 104 through 5. And we talked about mercy is unmerited favor, meaning that God has protected and kept us even when we were not deserving of his blessings. Now, these passages of Psalm 100 issues a second call to worship. The passages discuss entering his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise of God for who he is and his grace and mercy from generation to generation. Now, we enter into his gates and courts of praise or presence with thanksgiving and praise when we recognize and acknowledge God. We acknowledge that God alone is worthy of our praise, that we enter into worship with thanksgiving in our heart for his mercy and grace, that we always approach God with a thankful heart, that we acknowledge God for his goodness and the source of our blessings or all we have. We should testify to others with our words and actions of God's provisions for us or how he has worked in our life. And lastly, we acknowledge that the love of God is certain and unconditional in spite of all of our human frailties and imperfections. Those are the summary lesson points for Sunday, October 3rd, 2021. And God is worthy of praise because he made us. And God is worthy of praise because he mercied us, or he had mercy on us. So God is worthy of praise. And that's from Psalms 100, verses 1 through 3. He's worthy of praise because he had mercy on our soul and continues to bless us in spite of what we may do, that we may fall short. And that is from Psalms 100, verses 4 and 5. This is Brother Ron with a Sunday School summary for Sunday, October 3rd, 2021. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed week. And we hope to see you next week for another edition of Sunday School Summary with Brother Ron.